Picture a man in a federal cell, pacing, sweating through a sentence he swore he'd never get, building a fantasy in his head where the door swings open, the world apologizes, and the woman whose blood he allegedly mopped off a hallway carpet is right there waiting to be punished a second time. Now picture her, on a different continent, pregnant memories behind her, 3 kids in front of her, and a court declaration in New York that just told the entire United States, politely, in 11 calm words, try and find me. That sound you hear? That's a plan unraveling in real time. And before we get into the actual receipts, because there are layers to this one nobody's pulling on yet, if you're the kind of person who wants the unfiltered breakdown instead of the recycled headline, tap the like, smash subscribe, ring the bell. We're cooking something dense tonight, and I want y'all locked in for it. Cassie Ventura Fine, singer, mother of 3, plaintiff, witness, survivor, filed a sworn declaration dated May 1st, 2026, stating she now resides outside the United States and has no intention of returning. TMZ broke the document on June 2nd. The filing wasn't part of her old case against Sean Diddy Combs. It was filed in California federal court, connected to a $20 million civil suit brought by former male escort Clayton Howard, who claims he was hired into the so-called freak-offs between 2009 and the mid-2010s. That detail right there, the witch case, is the part most timelines are sleeping on. Watch where the dominoes are actually standing. Straight from the declaration itself, as obtained by Complex on June 2nd, 2026. I reside outside of the United States, and elsewhere I do not intend to move back to the United States. Cassie Ventura, sworn declaration, June 2nd, 2026. 11 words. No drama. No goodbye letter. Just legal cement. Then, from the same filing, the clarifying line her lawyers absolutely wanted on the record. I am a citizen of the United States. I'm not a resident of state of California. Cassie Ventura, court declaration, May 1st, 2026. Translation for the cheap seats. Don't drag me into your California courtroom. Cold. From her own attorney Doug Wigdor of Wigdor LLP. Speaking to CNN after the criminal verdict last summer. The man who has been carrying her legal water since 2023. Although the jury did not find Mr. Combs guilty of the more serious charges, the verdict is a victory for sexual assault survivors who have the courage to speak out. Douglas Wigdor, summer 2025. Read that twice. He didn't celebrate. He positioned. And then there's the man on the other side of the courtroom, taking his swings on appeal. Combs' attorney Alexandra Shapiro, in her December 23, 2025 filing to the Second Circuit. Unlawful, unconstitutional, and a perversion of justice. Alexandra Shapiro, appellate brief, December 24, 2025. Okay, one last one, because this is the receipt that recontextualizes the whole filing. From Cassie's own response to Clayton Howard's suit, as detailed by Complex on June 2nd. I would have come forward, and I'm glad she got some form of justice. Clayton Howard, alleged message to Alex Fine, cited in Cassie's filing. Wild. The man suing her allegedly praised her in writing before he sued her. Hold on to that one. It matters later. Look at the calendar laid out side by side, and tell me your spine doesn't twitch. November 16th, 2023. That filing. Cassie sues Combs in the Southern District of New York, alleging years of abuse and trafficking. Settled in 24 hours. March 2024. Federal raids on Combs' homes in L.A. and Miami. May 2024. From the Intercontinental Century City. September 2024. Combs arrested in Manhattan. Spring 2025. Federal trial. May 13th to 16th, 2025. Cassie testifies 4 days. 8 months pregnant. May 28th, 2025. She delivers her 3rd child, a baby boy, with husband Alex Fine, 2 weeks after stepping off that stand. Then July 3rd, 2025, the deleted post, no, that filing. Clayton Howard sues for $20 million, naming Cassie as a defendant. Not Combs alone. Both of them. Actually, hold on, back up. This part is the part. Because everybody saw Cassie fled and assumed it was emotional. It's not. It's procedural. Howard's suit lives in California. Cassie's whole legal apparatus, Wigdor LLP, Melody Hahn, Doug Wigdor, lives in New York. Her declaration on May 1st isn't a panic letter from a woman running scared. It's her team formally establishing she's not subject to California jurisdiction the way the plaintiff wants her to be, making New York the more logical venue if she has to participate at all. October 3rd, 2025. Combs sentenced to 50 months in federal prison by Judge Arun Subramanian. Fined $500,000. November 3rd, 2025. The Second Circuit grants Combs' motion to expedite his appeal. December 23rd, 2025. Combs' team files for immediate release, calling the sentence draconian. May 1st, 2026. Cassie quietly files the declaration. June 2nd, 2026. The world finds out. She moved while he was busy filing motions. He's still trying to kick down a door she walked out of months ago. Legal forensics. Pull up the actual line. I am a citizen of the United States. I am not a resident of the state of California. That second clause is doing 12 jobs at once. Domicile in American civil procedure is everything. It dictates jurisdiction, service of process, deposition logistics, which subpoenas have teeth, which ones get laughed out. By stating on the record, she's not a California resident. She's making Howard's California-filed suit harder to bend her around. Her lawyer Melody Hahn at Wigdor LLP didn't draft that language by accident. That's surgical. Behavioral forensics. Look at the information control in the filing. She says she lives abroad. She does not say where. The location is unclear. That's not coyness. That's strategy. You don't reveal a destination to a man who reportedly had a small army on payroll for over a decade. You don't hand a forwarding address to someone whose appeal could, theoretically, succeed. The declaration gives the court enough to function legally and gives the public nothing. That's the work of someone who's done this before. Visual forensics. I had to read this 3 times. The House Tour 2025 clip, floating on YouTube, showing Cassie and Alex finds reported $8 million La Jolla Beach home. California. Coastal. The kind of property you don't buy if you're planning to leave. So when does the math change? Sometime between her August 2025 escrow paperwork, allegedly, and her May 2026 declaration, she pivoted hard. Whether the La Jolla place was sold, rented, or staged, that's a footprint a tabloid will eventually trace. But the fact that she went from buying coastal to not a California resident inside a calendar year tells you something seismic shifted in her threat model. 3 lenses, 3 confirmations. This wasn't impulsive. This was engineered. Here's where it gets entertaining. How outlets spun the same 6-line declaration. TMZ led with the verb fled. Tabloid grammar. It centers the running. Frames her as a woman in retreat, which sells clicks but quietly flattens her agency into a flinch. By contrast, led with quietly left. 2 words doing 2 completely different jobs. Quietly gives her power. Left is final. No drama, no chase scene. Just a door closing behind a woman who decided she was done. Complex also did the homework TMZ skipped, threading the Howard lawsuit into the story, so readers understood the what and the why. The safest middle lane. Cassie reveals she moved. No threat actor, no urgency, no motive. Pure stenography. The kind of framing that lets readers project whatever feeling they walked in with. Now the counter-narrative making rounds on certain platforms. And yeah, you've seen it. She got the bag. She's running from accountability. The argument is that the Howard suit caught her. She liquidated. She bounced. Steelman that for a second. There's an emotional logic to it. A woman with $30 million who suddenly disappears does look, from a hostile angle, like someone dodging consequences. Now dismantle it. 1. She didn't disappear. She filed a sworn declaration with her real name, her real legal team, and a clear willingness to participate in proceedings. Just not on Howard's geographic terms. People dodging accountability don't file paperwork. 2. She testified for 4 days, pregnant, against a man with a documented history. People who fear courtrooms don't sit on that stand for 4 days. 3. The declaration explicitly offers New York as an alternative venue. That's the opposite of running. The she's hiding. Read collapses the second you remember She's the one who started this entire legal cycle in November 2023. She's not the one hiding. She's the one who already burned the playbook. The energy shifts here. The mainstream read on this story is Cassie escaped. Soft framing. Survivor narrative. Tied up with a bow. But here's what nobody's saying out loud yet. The harder, weirder, more uncomfortable read. The civil case Combs lost wasn't the criminal one. It was the long game on his own freedom. And he is still losing it from a cell. Think about how loyalty economics work for a man like Combs. For 30 years, the engine that powered him wasn't just music. It was the certainty that people in his orbit would do what he asked, when he asked, because of what he could give them or take from them. Access, bookings, cosigns, money, fear when nothing else worked. That's the currency. Now strip it. He can't pay anyone. That violates the federal terms of his supervised release. Once he's out, he can't strong-arm anyone. Every camera in America is pointed at his name. He can't promise anyone a feature, a deal, a connection, because the people who used to take his calls are doing what one industry insider called pest control, quietly scrubbing him out of their text threads and Rolodexes. And the women who reportedly publicly mourned the empire collapse, Young Miami and the City Girls Orbit, who received a reported $2.3 million from him per various filings, are now broadcasting their distance, not their loyalty. So what's left when a man like that loses every lever he ever pulled? Pride. Just pride. And pride in a cell with no audience curdles into obsession. The reporting suggests, allegedly, because none of this is confirmed by any court, that the obsession has a name, and it's the same name that started this whole reckoning. Which brings us to the bold claim. Cassie didn't leave because she was afraid of him. She left because she's smart enough to know that a wounded king with a successful appeal is a different animal than a wounded king with a sentence. That December motion for immediate release isn't a Hail Mary. Shapiro is a serious appellate attorney. The Second Circuit did expedite the appeal in November, and the conviction was on the two least serious charges. There's a real, non-zero universe in which Combs walks within 12 to 18 months. She did the math on that universe and decided she didn't want to be inside it. A few jabs, lightly seasoned. The men still rooting for him, from podcast couches. Y'all are LARPing loyalty for a man who can't return a single phone call. The associates still floating around his orbit, hoping for a comeback feature. Your career has the structural integrity of a wet napkin. The fans still screaming they set him up. The surveillance footage isn't AI. It exists. Israel Flores testified to it. Watch it again. And the women on the internet still calling Cassie a gold digger for accepting $30 million in settlements from a man and the hotel that allegedly enabled him. Sis, she didn't take that money to get rich. She took it because they offered it instead of going to trial. There's a difference between extraction and reparation. Learn it. She didn't run. She relocated the terms of engagement. That's a different sentence entirely. Watch how the next 12 months unfold around this declaration, because everything from here gets quieter, sharper, and harder to spin. The path with the most gravity. The Howard suit will proceed in California, with Cassie participating remotely through Wigdor LLP, deposed by video from wherever she now lives, on terms or legal team controls. By summer, expect either a quiet settlement or a motion to dismiss based on the credibility issues already baked into Howard's own alleged messages, the ones where he praised her before he sued her. Combs' camp will try to use the Howard suit as leverage, claiming it validates their narrative about Cassie. It won't land. The jury already heard the abuse evidence. They believed two charges. They didn't believe the smear. The path that flips the table. The Second Circuit, somewhere between late spring and fall, hands down its ruling on the appeal. Don't be shocked when the court refuses immediate release, but tweaks the sentencing. Maybe a remand for resentencing under the new guidelines. That's the worst case, win for Combs' team, and even that doesn't get him home before 2028. If the appeal fully fails, which a lot of federal practitioners think is the likelier outcome, the entire ecosystem around him goes silent overnight. The podcast apologists, the loyalty hangers-on, the free puff, hashtag. All of it evaporates the day the appeal dies, because there's no longer a fantasy of return to monetize. The aftershock 5 years out. By 2031, this story isn't about Combs anymore. It's about the Cassie precedent, the civil first strategy, the 24-hour settlement that became the pretext for federal investigators to finally take 30 years of whispers seriously. Future plaintiffs, future attorneys, future survivors, they will cite this case the way Hollywood survivors cited the Weinstein-era filings. The cultural residue isn't Combs in prison. It's the template Cassie's team built for taking down a man with private jets, NDAs, and a security detail. And the men who thought their power was untouchable will spend the next decade discovering, one filing at a time, that it never was. He's punching the wall of a cell. She's somewhere with a passport, 3 kids, and a husband who allegedly told him to his face, years before any of this, that he wasn't scared. The story isn't even hers anymore. It belongs to whoever uses the playbook next. Y'all already know the read. You just got isn't living anywhere else. Drop your take in the comments. I want the smart ones, the wild ones, the wait, what about ones. Hit like, subscribe, ring the bell, and stay close. Part 2 of this, what Combs' inner circle is doing right now while he's locked in, is already in the chamber. We'll talk soon.